Welcome to Chelsea in the Classroom, your go-to source for all things ed tech. I'm your host, Chelsea Holt. Each episode, I'll explore the latest trends, tools, and challenges in educational technology, from AI in the classroom to digital equity and innovating teaching strategies. With expert insights and real-world stories, I help educators, students, and ed tech enthusiasts navigate the evolving world of learning. Join me as I look for ways to innovate, inspire, and transform education, one episode at a time. Jessica, if you don't mind, just really quick, kind of telling us, who you are and what you do in your field of expertise there at Tyler Junior College.
All right. Well, hi, I am Jessica White. I am an instructional designer in the Center for Learning and Development at Tyler Junior College. That means that I'm responsible for designing and delivering online and in-person training opportunities for the faculty and staff here at TJC.
That is awesome. And we talked about it last time, but you do have, you also have some experience in the K through 12 setting as well, right? So you have been in both worlds.
I have, yes, I taught U.S. history, government, and economics to juniors and seniors for about 5 years.
That is amazing. So
Yeah.
we're just going to start off, and I'm going to have a couple of questions for you on professional learning. And the first question is, how do you make professional learning experiences feel meaningful and engaging rather than just another, run-of-the-mill Tuesday training session?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I would say, impossible or maybe even pointless to offer training that doesn't have a direct connection to the work that they're doing right now. So there has to be some type of buy-in. For instance, we've recently started an online review process for our online classes. So our push for training for online courses makes a lot of sense because we've got that buy-in. We have that purpose behind it. So showing them the why, the reason why this needs to happen and how it connects to the work that they're doing. And then also trying to make the session more engaging rather than them just sitting and listening to you. They should actually interact with what they're learning, hopefully leave with some type of product that they made in your session.
Strangely enough, I was at a dental appointment the other day and they had just switched over to a new software, right? They completely switched everything over and they shut the office down for about a week. They all came in, they got trained on this new software and how to chart and how to manage their patients. But it was interesting when I was talking to the dental hygienist, she was like, yeah, it was great. We were here for a week, but only about a quarter of it had anything to do with the back office stuff, with the hygiene stuff.
Mm,
So much of it had to do with front office stuff, billing and insurance, stuff that I don't use on a day-to-day basis.
right.
Though she said I was left with a lot of questions at the end because it wasn't back office specific. So
hmm
thinking of that, how are you able to work with a big group? And I know that in an educational setting, hopefully it would be kind of in a department, departmental, if you will.
hmm
But how do you diversify but also personalize in the same breath?
Mm. That's a good question. I was just talking with somebody about this yesterday. We offer a faculty first year experience, and so they're all faculty who it's their first year here at TJC, but they teach different subjects. And based on the subject that they teach, their experience teaching could be completely different, a lecture versus a lab versus a cohort. And so I do kind of have to diversify what I'm offering them while personalizing it to what they need during that session. I was saying yesterday that sometimes I just hope that each piece of the training touches two-thirds of them. you know.
Right.
I don't think it's realistic for every moment of the session to have deep value to everybody in there. But I do think that by framing it around what they have in common, which is that it's their first year at Tyler's Junior College, um, then I can sort of diversify um, their output. So, for instance, and that's where the engaging and the active learning really comes in handy too, because if we're talking about aligning objectives and outcomes, I can tell them how to do that. I can frame it in a way that's helpful for a first year teacher. But then when they actually do the work, it's specific to biology, to dentistry, to English. So you can even use active learning strategies to your advantage because they know their subject area and you can get them to engage in it through those strategies.
True. Well, and I think it also kind of goes back to what we talked about last time is also building those relationships, right? Like building that
Absolutely.
confidence so that they don't hesitate to come to you specifically like, hey,
Hmm.
that was really great. I do have another question pertaining
Yeah.
to this. And then you can kind of build from there. Um,
Hmm.
Jessica, what do you think helps professional learning actually stick so that educators feel confident applying those new ideas in their classroom?
I do want to return to the active learning strategies there because what really makes it stick is when they think, oh, I'm gonna go try that. The best experiences I've had training so far have been people saying, oh, that's a really good idea. I'm gonna go try that. And then they return back and say, hey, I did that. This is how it went. I would have done this differently. And then they learn from it. I learn from it. So there has to be some, oh, I could do that. Like I could walk away with that idea and it could improve what I'm doing somehow.
Yeah, well, and I know I told you last time, but going through you guys's active learner seminar, I didn't get to go through the entire course of it, but I still keep that binder with me. And I mean, those are
Wonderful.
things that I think about in collaborative settings, right? And
Hmm.
it's a great resource. You guys provided, take home stuff, which was awesome, something tangible that I could hold on to. And so
Definitely.
I think that I know from my personal experience that has been great.
Mm.
Um, so now moving into this idea of like developing professional capital, how do you design learning experiences that help educators grow, not just in their skill, but also in their confidence and decision making?
Yes, absolutely. That is tough. The growth and the confidence. And I will say, what I've noticed about teachers is that they are confident, typically in what they're doing, even if it's unwarranted. But I think that when you're a teacher, you have to have that confidence in the room. Where I really see the like need to grow in confidence and decision making is actually in the employee base. So just 9 to 5 workers and student support services or IT, things like that. Um, that there's all these skills that go into being a well-rounded employee, right? Like time management and even the ability to take initiative. Those are the things that I find the hardest to translate into a training, if that makes sense. I actually think that the best approach there might even be a top-down kind of approach of leadership. How are you supporting your, you know, portion of the organization, to feel confident and feel assured in what they're doing? That's a really, really difficult, uh, I don't know, a really difficult characteristic to instill in somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. I was having a conversation with a junior high teacher the other night, and she was talking about that one of the teachers on campus kind of took the initiative to learn one of these educational programs that they had implemented. And she
Mm,
said that that made a huge difference to have that one person that was like,
okay, we came in, we got the training. Yes, we were all essentially on the same page, but having that one person that just really volunteered to kind of sink their teeth into it, get more well versed, she
Mm,
said was hugely helpful because it just felt like there was a little bit of a lifeline there on campus that they could go and talk with. And I imagine,
right.
like you said, I feel like that emulates that top down um
Yes, yeah, I
situation or
absolutely
formula.
do. It sounds, like she was able to model what was possible. And it's that initiative that she took that I think it's so difficult to get across to, especially young learners now. Um, there's just, you have to have confidence in yourself to take initiative. So it's almost reversed that you can't do that if you don't have confidence. And if you haven't taken initiative, then you might not have confidence yet. So it's
True.
difficult to jump into.
It is. It's kind of it's almost a double-edged sword, if you will.
Yes. Yeah.
Now thinking of empowering, right? This idea of confidence. What do you think are some ways in which you, as the instructional designer, can encourage educators to take charge of their own learning and their own growth?
Yeah, I think relationship building is really important there, because that really takes it past, okay, I needed to come here and learn something from you, and turns it into, I am empowered to take what I've learned today, and to improve my work through it. And I think that your learners don't really do that if they don't trust you and if they haven't built that relationship with you. So kind of that circle of trust, that exists between teachers and their students has to be established even in a training setting, for it to go beyond just I'm learning from you and into you are empowering me to take these skills and improve my work.
Yeah, no, I mean that really makes a ton of sense. And I it was funny when a couple assignments ago when we talked about kind of getting feedback from what makes a good leader in technology and educational technology. One of the responses were be patient with the people who are tech phobic, right? And I kind of
Mm-hmm.
giggled thinking of this word tech
Mm-hmm.
phobic, but it really is so true. There is sometimes a phobia or a disconnect
Yeah.
around the
Yeah.
technology. And
Mm-hmm.
so with that idea, how can technology in your mind, how can technology be used to create more personalized, flexible learning opportunities for educators? But I think more importantly, how do you make it so that it's not so scary? It's not something that we should be afraid of.
I think with a lot of teachers that are tech phobic, and I haven't heard that word either. We call them laggards. They're the last ones to adopt. Um, they have a really good reason. I've never met somebody that was just like, I don't want to. They always believe deeply that the way that they teach is effective, that students learn from them, and that technology could hurt, hinder, change that. So I think recognizing that they have a valid reason, is huge, and hearing them out, is huge, because a lot of people we are moving in a tech direction. I mean, that's the bottom line. The people that don't want to do it will eventually leave or do it. And so I think that's scary. And as we do make that transition, it's important to hear people out and hear about what they're concerned about. And then also validate them. I totally agree. If electricity was gone tomorrow and we had to teach with whiteboards, I know I could do it, and I know teachers could do it. So they're not even wrong, right? So they're hearing them out, validating how they feel, and then just kind of very patiently introducing technology into the way that they do their work. I think empowering them to do that really effective, great face-to-face, no tech teaching in tech. How you translate that? It's not always direct and easy, but can be done. And showing them that, I think, can help overcome some of those barriers.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And it is. I mean, I think we are at a shift. And maybe we've always been at shifts in education or in industries, right? Maybe it's just this revolving door of shifts, but I mean, we're in a digital age, right?
Hmm.
And
We
and
are.
and I think it's important as educators to understand that it's
It's
not
not
just
just
introducing kids to
introducing
technology in
people
a
to
classroom,
technology in a
but it's
classroom.
introducing kids
It's
to
introducing
technology in a
people to
classroom
technology in a classroom
this
Mm.
because
technology is in farming,
this technology is
Yeah.
in
medical,
agriculture,
finance,
it's in the
right? Like it's
military,
just
it's in
exposing them
business,
to that
it's in our education
world
system, it's in our
of tech,
food industry, right? It's
right?
in so many, it's relative in so many fields.
Right. And another point that I've been able to make recently that I think has hit home with some people who kind of feared the transition into technology is that, they students learn from their technology now. Students will learn from their technology in the future. They're always going to use technology. So trying to create this short-term 3 to 4 year environment where we don't use technology and then shove people into a world where we do doesn't actually make sense.
Right.
There's a huge cognitive dissonance there, because students know that that's not true. You can learn from technology. We do it all the time.
For
Right,
you in your
right.
position,
How do
you
you
know, I
create
listened
a
to a
culture
seminar the other
where
day, and
learning
they
is
talked
seen
about
kind of
it was
as
with
this
Alan
shared
November,
journey rather
and Alan
than
November,
something people
and he
just
talked
have
about
to
this
do? And I know
idea
you
of
touched on that
kind
a
of
little
relinquishing
bit.
some of that
Hmm.
control,
But
right?
what are some of the
Technology
approaches that you go
is
with?
forcing
But I do like how you
educators,
framed the
especially
question around
seasoned
a shared
educators who
journey,
were used
because
to
we have
being
had
able to
great
do or
success here
having to do
through
maybe
our cohort
all
and our
kind of
long
by
form
themselves,
training
if you will,
programs.
without the assistance of
For instance,
technology.
that faculty
And I
first
think
year
that is a hard
experience,
thing, right? Like you do want to
all of
make
those people,
sure
it's their first
that
year at
your
TJC, and
kids are
they would have met
learning
each other in their
the
department,
material,
but
right?
now
Like
they've met
you
each
want
other
to take
across the
control of
campus.
that. And
And
I think
it
that
really has
is
created this sense of, okay,
right.
we're all in this together. It is a scary first year, but
Yeah,
we've like had
and
this place to come
something that
together
the
around.
framework that we're
Um,
really learning right
and
now is
even in the Active
Magana's
Learning
T3
Academy, we've
framework.
got teachers
And
in there that are
I'm
seasoned,
really
excellent
enjoying this
educators,
idea of
who are
again
learning
those
and
that
growing, and
hierarchy,
it's
right? Like starting
uncomfortable,
at the
but they're
beginning,
doing it
and yes, you
together.
can use
So I
technology
love a
to do your
cohort
role for
style,
you. Like do
long
those automated
form
things,
training. If you
just
could
don't let it
take a
stay there,
training
right?
that you
Like
want to
let it go to
do
that
and
next,
make
that
it
deeper level, and
three
then
to
let it go
five
to that deeper
sessions with
level.
the
So,
same
and kind of
people,
in that
that's
thought,
huge, because then they've got
of
somebody that's in it
of it
with
being a
them. They're bouncing
culture,
ideas off
if
of
you
one
will.
another. And it's becoming more and more applicable to their job every single time because they're walking away with these big ideas.
Yeah.
Um, yes, that's been super rewarding in that sense.
Well, and again, thinking back on when I was doing that semi-capstone project there at TJC and working with Amanda Richardson, in that active learning seminar that she was putting on, the room was a mixed bag, right? We
Mm,
had, I believe it was the head of the English department who was there as one of the kind of co-teachers, if you will, co-instructors. But then we had, the instructor that I was working with. I think this was maybe her first year, maybe her second year there. And then we had,
wow.
like a biology teacher, and she seemed
Hmm.
very well seasoned and very well versed. And it was amazing to hear all of those different voices, right?
Yes.
And
Uh-huh.
that kind of leads me into that next question is like, what is the best way to bring in different voices, teachers, administrators, staff, right, into that
Hmm.
process of designing professional learning?
Right. We love to tap into a subject matter expert. There's any time that there's somebody on campus who knows more about it, we love to offer them the opportunity. So for instance, we offer Tech Tuesdays every other Tuesday. And the tech trainer from the IT department comes over and does that training. We've been able to partner with HR to offer trainings about leadership and skills and things like that. And then when we do a big event, like we just had our Student Success Summit, we invited faculty and staff from TJC to present a topic of their choosing according to student success. So really empowering, and I know I've used that word a lot, but otherwise they won't be, you know, um,
Right.
really, really giving them the opportunity to share their expertise and share their skills with one another in those ways is big, but also just in smaller ways. If you've got 3 or 4 educators in a room, then they should be sharing their experiences and learning from one another. There's almost no one better to teach a faculty member than another faculty member, I think.
Yeah, and I think this idea of kind of getting rid of silos, if you
Mm,
will, right? Understanding that, what you do specifically, yes, is different from what everybody else does. But again, like you said, they're all educators in some way, shape, or form,
yes,
right? We're all kind of
hmm
working towards the same end goal, if you will.
yes. And I
Now,
have started to see those barriers dissolve, especially in the Active Learning Academy, where we've got one of the guys runs the police academy and one of them's a government teacher. And, you would think that their day-to-day educational experiences might be different, but they're actually really, really similar. And they're
right.
benefiting from the same professional development.
Yeah. And I really that idea of, interdisciplinary connections, right?
Hmm
Crossing those boundaries, breaking down those barriers. And in a weird way, I do feel like technology is that common ground to do that, right?
Mm.
Like we all have a shared enemy, right? Some days it's
Sure.
our enemy, some days
If it's
our
helpful to
hero.
frame it that way, yes. Uh-huh.
Right.
Uh-huh.
We all have that in common in this digital age. And
Mm.
and we've talked a lot about, how we can do this effectively and how to get learners engaged. But I guess the next question is how do you know, right? Like, how do you know if it's actually these professional learning um, meetings? How are they
Mm-hmm.
making a real impact on relationship or collaboration or within a school, an organization? Do you guys
Mm-hmm.
have data? Do you have ways to analyze this?
Yeah, absolutely. Evaluation is huge. We because this is a higher education institution and our training is with faculty, relationship building is so huge. I would say that most of our feedback is verbal, human to human. But you have to have a way to evaluate your learning experience, obviously. So we do collect data. We've got data around attendance and training sessions, so we can kind of see if that's ticking up, then we're making an impact. More people are attending training and everything like that. I think I've noticed growth in that way of more people being willing to attend training. And then also your learning experience needs to end with some type of bell ringer, if you will. You definitely shouldn't just let your trainees walk out of the room without several probing, how are we feeling about this kind of question, some type of formative assessment that lets you know that they've caught on to what you were saying. So yeah, data is huge, but also opening yourself up to like verbal feedback.
Um,
Right.
and Amanda, my
Right.
last
Now,
question for you to wrap
Jessica,
up
like we had
will
talked
be
about, I know that
for you
you
as
have
an
been in both
instructional
settings. You've been in a
designer,
higher education and you've
right?
also been in a K
What
through 12
what do
setting.
you do, you know,
right?
we have
What do
so much tech
you
initiative right now,
incorporate,
right?
what
And
are the key
so
ingredients
many
that you
schools are
add
going to that
create this
one-to-one
thriving
device setting.
learning
Every
community?
kid
And
has
again, I
a
feel like you've really
Chromebook or a
touched on that a
laptop, or
bunch
they
with like
have some
listening
sort of
to
device. In
people's
those settings,
complaints and their
and if you don't
problems.
feel
But if you
comfortable
had to
answering this,
maybe
that's
give a
totally
bullet
fine.
point of
But
like, these would be
in
my
those
key
settings,
ingredients
how do you
for a
think we can
thriving learning
gauge if
community,
the things that
what would
we're
those
teaching
be for
our
you?
teachers
In our professional development?
Three
How
key
do we know
ingredients.
that stuff is
I would say
sticking
one would
in a
be
classroom
a
setting
top-down
with these K through
support
12
for
kids?
learning.
Meaning like, how would we
We
know
are
if they are
lucky that
actually
we have
using this
deans and leadership
technology
that
for
believe in
more than
learning and
just the
development. We have
$1,000
department chairs that
pencil,
believe
as
in
Ellen
learning and
Novak would say?
development. They get their employees and their faculty here. That's key. If it appears that leadership doesn't care about learning, then many people won't. So that's really key. The relationship building is huge. When every single training that I offer, I always tell the faculty that I'm looking forward to it as much as they are because I'm going to learn from them. I always learn from them. And that creates this mutual respect for one another that I can't stand up here and tell you everything that you don't know. We can only just talk about it and learn together. So that mutual respect and the relationship building is really, really big. Um, and then I think I did just touch on respect in that sense, but I do want to say just kind of a general respect for people in their role, the value that they offer to this college. There's no person that shows up here every day that we could do without. We need their work. And so respecting people's work, their contributions, their time is huge. And the best way that you can respect their time is by making that learning meaningful, valuable, related to that work that they do. I think those would be my three.
Yeah. Wow, I'm so thankful for the insight that you've been able to shed on this, Jessica, because I feel that,
And I think
again,
that right there is that
it's something that
balance
transcends,
of,
right?
yes,
We keep
yes, it's
using this
applicable
word, this
to what you
phrase,
do in a
digital
higher
age. We
education
keep
setting,
using
but I feel like
this word
anything,
integration,
all
right?
of those
Like
things that you
we're
talked about
integrating
could be
technology,
used
but I
in,
think
in a
at the
preschool
core of
setting,
all
in a
of
K
it,
through
like you
12
said,
setting,
is
in
that
a
human relationship,
alternative,
Totally
right?
agree.
Like that
being
setting,
able
and
to talk
Totally
to
agree.
somebody and
I
say,
really, it's
this
encouraging
is everything we've talked
to
about.
know that there
Do you have
are
any questions?
experts
And then in a few
and
weeks later,
professionals
how
like
is
you
that
out there
working
that
for
have
you?
that
Is
embody
this,
that. And I
yeah,
just
like,
hope
is
that
this
that
something
is
that's
something that
actually
is
as
applicable.
contagious
Like,
as
is it
the flu is this
realistic? Is
season?
it something that we can keep doing?
I
And
hope.
then
I
again,
do
being able
hope so, but
to have that
I've got
flexibility to
pretty good
adjust
empirical evidence
as
that,
needed.
showing up every day with a positive spirit around learning is contagious.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Jessica, again, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
Speaking of respecting time, I know that you are a busy, busy person. So I appreciate that you carve out time for me and that you
of course.
help me in my journey, and that hopefully I can pay that forward one of these days.
Yes, that would be my hope. I've received a lot of help on my own journey, and it's my pleasure to give back.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I am going to go ahead and stop the recording. That's kind of a mind-blowing, right? Like it makes so much sense when I'm hearing you say that. But I guess the fact that you put it in that phrase really is just very eye-opening, right? Like we're always looking at evidence-based, right? Evidence-based research and evidence-based this, and obviously that's a good thing. But sometimes I think it could be translated as just too overwhelming, right? Like if you're coming in with, well, the evidence, the data points are blah, blah, blah. And it's like, this is what I'm talking about. I don't even feel comfortable with this technology. And now we're speaking in tech lingo. Right. Oh man, I think that's such a great little nugget to keep with us.
I hope today's episode gave you valuable insights into the world of educational technology. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Let's keep the conversation going. Connect with me on Twitter or Instagram and share your thoughts, questions, or topics you'd love to hear about. Until next time, keep innovating, inspiring, and transforming education. See you soon.